And what would you tell the audience about leadership and decision making?
I'll answer that question by also piggybacking off of what you just said.
Okay.
And that is, I need to say something to any individual out there. And that is that your fear and your lack of knowing, of feeling inadequate,
Mm-hmm.
don't let it feed into that, because it's a endless pit.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of us, that's what we think. We think that asking for help, and we think that or feeling fear is confirmation of how inadequate we are in our current position, our current life. I did that for a long time.
So Standing in the Gap is about giving back. It's about showing up for people who have no one else to show up for them. I am Dr. Tonjua Williams, president of St. Petersburg College, and you are listening to Standing in the Gap. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Standing in the Gap with Dr. Tonjua Williams. I have the distinct pleasure today of having Dr. McDonald, who happens to be a former SPC student. He's an alumni, but also he is a clinical pharmacist at Largo Med with me here today. Today, we are going to talk about what it takes to grind. How do you move through the minutia? How do you make things happen, even when you think you can't do it? And that's what Dr. McDonald is all about. So we're going to get started. Ernest, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So you and I know each other personally. We worked together. It was about, 20 years ago? How long ago was it?
It's
about
been definitely 20 some odd years.
When I was handling a grant program and you were a student here at the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus.
Yes, ma'am.
So give us a glimpse of what that time was like for you.
First of all, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. So that time for me, growing up here, I grew up here in St. Pete, and I grew up in Jordan Park, which was a local housing project here in St. Pete. And so what a lot of people don't know is my initial trip to St. Pete College was terrifying. I like to tell people that when I first came, not only was it terrifying, but I showed up at 18, and I think our system was a little backwards. That I showed up and at 18, because I didn't have any kids or anything.
Right.
I was told that I couldn't get FAFSA. I needed parental support in order to fill out the FAFSA. And at that particular time, it was just hard to get that kind of information and things. But nevertheless, I came back 2 years later after having a baby, and it's crazy, but from a governmental perspective, I was considered an independent person, or an adult at that particular time. Right. That I could get FAFSA. One of the things I remember about my first actual academic day on campus, and I'm embarrassed to say this on camera, but I had probably one of the biggest panic attacks that I've ever had. I was an individual that dropped out of school in essentially the 6th grade. So dropping out of school in the 6th grade, going to get my GED, I didn't think I was academically ready to step foot on a college campus. And so when I got to college, I'm like, I'm not prepared. I didn't know my reading expectations or my reading potential. I didn't know my spelling potential. I didn't know, a lot of that. So for me, stepping onto this campus was absolutely terrifying.
It was monumental for you. You were trying to figure out, man, how do I do this? Because I think, were you the first in your family?
Well, first in my immediate family. I'd had a cousin and a cousin or two that had gone to college, potentially, older cousin that had gone to college, but she had gone to UF. But outside of that, no.
You were the first in your immediate family to go.
None of the guys, nobody that I knew, none of my friends were going to college.
And we have a lot in common because we're both first in family kids to go to college. And if you're out there thinking about college and you're saying, I can't go, today's episode, you're going to hear not only can you go, but you can also exceed. It's not where you start, but it's where you finish. And, it takes a lot to share this kind of information. I want to thank you, Dr. McDonald, for doing that. And notice I'm saying doctor because he is Dr. Ernest McDonald. So I'm very proud of that. So from my perspective as an employee at the college, I did not see any fear in you coming through the doors of the Student Support Services program. I didn't see that. You hit it very well, which many of us who are first timers do.
Exactly.
We know how to hide things and make it seem like we know what we're doing. But I think the other piece, Dr. McDonald, is it's not just the hiding things, but how did you persist? How did you say, okay, I'm scared, but I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna try this thing. So what happened that caused you to stick with it?
One of the most pivotal parts of me being here was meeting my best friend, Jeremy Johnson at the time, and Mike Williams. We actually, I was in a ethics class first or second semester. And at that time, I honestly didn't know if I could continue. I didn't know if I would be able to make it, or what and whatnot. Still kind of fumbling my way through it, still kind of just trying to put one foot in front of the other. And one of the guys told me about a program called Brother to Brother that had newly got started on the campus, and that it was pretty good. Like, it was a place where you could go and we could kind of hang out, and there were people there like me. It was a program geared towards African American males, and at this particular time, I'm like, okay, like what I got to lose? The one person that I kind of met on campus told me to come and check it out. And I remember walking in, and one of the first people I met was one of the coordinators, Shirley Crumbly.
Yep.
And I remember when just before I did drop out of middle school, I used to walk home with her sons. So I knew Ernest and Corey Crumbly. They played basketball at Jordan Park Gym, and they would walk to the gym until it was time for them to get picked up and things like that there. So I immediately, as an African American male, gravitated to her. I attached to her. And funny story, I definitely want to talk about the program and talk about what the program did for me, but it's so crazy. For the first 6 months to a year, she had to continue to tell me, like, listen, I'm not part of I'm a part of the Brother to Brother program, but my role is different. Like, you got to go see your coordinator. You got to go see your guy. And, we naturally gravitate to comfort. And so she was a sense of comfort. And I would always go to her for, advice, classes, anything that I needed, until she finally got me to actually go see the Brother to Brother coordinator, which she had to physically walk me into his office one day, sit me down and say, listen, this is the person you need to be talking to. And I'm really glad she did, because to this day, that coordinator at the time was Davey Gill.
Yep.
And to this day, he's one of my really good friends.
Yeah.
We still hang out, we still see each other, we still talk on occasion. So
that's amazing. The thing about SPC that I like the most, I've been here 36 years, I think 37, is that we're here for our students to make sure they have what they need to be successful. And what Dr. McDonald is talking about is how this program stood in the gap for him that started his trajectory to his current career. And so, after you finished at SPC, you went to USF.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
So you graduated SPC, then you went to USF and earned what degree there?
I earned a bachelor's degree in accounting.
Accounting
From USF.
So you have accounting and
my doctorate.
And your doctorate in pharmacy.
Yes.
So how do you use both? I mean,
of course, yes.
Okay.
Ma'am. The accounting degree within itself just naturally helps you in everyday life, understanding financial financial aspects at every point in life.
Wow.
And so even in my role now as a clinical and now a lead pharmacist within our department, I do spend a lot of time trying to just explain to other pharmacists and other people and other individuals in our staff that although this is a hospital and we are here to help people, this hospital is also a business. And that it really helps me understand that line between the business side of helping people and also the clinical side and of helping people. And some people think that that's always, like, the clinical side is always the way that you go, but sometimes, believe it or not, you have to merge the two. It's 100% that you have to merge the two.
What's a lead pharmacist?
So currently at our hospital, we have different, we have clinical pharmacists, we have, which I was a clinical pharmacist for a while. You have our staff pharmacist. A lead pharmacist is just an individual that I lead my particular
your group,
and staff at that time that I'm there. I'm the point person for decision making and things like that when it comes to when I'm there anyway. I'm that go-to person.
What kind of stress is that to be the lead? Is it easier than being just the clinical pharmacist, or being that person?
It can be stressful, but you'll hear me say this. You'll hear me say this kind of quite often to individuals I talk to, and I think you heard me say it earlier. Individuals don't rise to the level of their expectation. They fall to the level of their training. And I take that to heart. I take that to heart. And I need to say that again. Individuals do not rise to the level of their expectation. They fall to the level of their training. And that's going to, I think it was a Greek poet, I forget his name, Archie something. I'm sorry. But it was a Greek poet that termed that phrase. And I take that to heart. And so I feel comfortable in my role because I continue to realize that I need to train. I need to never stop learning. I need to never stop reading. I need to never get to a point where I feel like I know this or, I'm never in that situation. So I'm always continuing, and no matter what role I'm doing, to try to,
So you're always learning, you're always upskilling, making sure that you're on game.
Oh, yes.
And what's happening and what's going on. And I think for the audience, I think you need to hear what he's saying, because just because you have one credential or degree doesn't mean it stops there. You continue to sharpen the saw, you continue to learn, you continue to grow, because once you stop learning, you stop growing. And so he's saying you continue to learn and you continue to grow.
Yes, 100%.
So with this role and going back to college, so you went back, you got your bachelor's in accounting, and then you went where?
So there was a gap between classes that I needed for getting my pharmacy degree or entering into pharmacy school. And it was originally medical school, but that's another story. It was really understanding myself and having a really internal conversation with myself. And it was, just understanding that I really didn't want to cut open the bodies and things like that there. So it's not that I don't think I could have done it, but you just kind of
want to do it.
And you could have go anywhere. Both schools are 4 years. Medical school is 4 years. Pharmacy school is 4 years. But to answer your question, I had all the classes that I needed I had my accounting degree, but there were classes that were missing. And so once again, SPC and the individuals at SPC stepped up and literally filled in that gap for me.
Wow.
Meaning I came on campus, I was talking to Davey Gill, and he had a position open in his intramural department. And so he allowed me to fill in that position as intramural coordinator, which gave me some income at the time. I came back here and I started taking the necessary courses, the chemistry classes and things like that while I was here. And he really worked with me in terms of schedule. Just, listen, the only requirement he had was just you got to do the job. I can work with you and things like that. So it's opportunities like that allowed me to be here and allowed me to get that degree. So
wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, wow,
It
that's
was, and
amazing.
it wasn't just him. It was individuals like I don't even know if he's still here, Steven Drasick, but
Mhm.
he's one of our. He was one of my chemistry professors and really became a really great friend. And he was ahead of, or even over the chemistry department. And I remember at one point I needed in order to enter, not have to wait an entire year, I needed to take 2 chemistry classes together that aren't normally taken together. It's allowed, but
He
they're
allowed it.
not. And he set me down. He was like, "Listen, I see your determination and things like that, and I'll sign
Work
off
with
on it.
you
But
on it.
you just it's
Mhm.
gonna be hard. But
Mhm.
it's little things like that that really
When you
helped me
think
get
about
here."
when you think about you know, Professor Andresic and those who stood in the gap for you, and you think about how you came from, you know, the ASAA degree and moving from. How did you keep going? I'm trying to understand, and I understand brother to brother, and I understand programs, but what was innate, what was inside of you that said, keep going, keep keep moving? What was that?
It's hard to quantify and it's hard to
Okay.
describe. It's hard to quantify and it's hard to describe. I can maybe equate it to, maybe for a lot of our audience, working out. You work out, you obtain a goal, you see results, and you like that feeling. You finally
Mm-hmm.
understand. When you first start trying to run that mile, you run a couple of yards and you're out of breath. And
Right.
then, the next day you do it, the next day you do it. And then one day you realize you got around that track and you did that mile. And for me, I got to that mile and went, well, if I was able to obtain that mile,
Then I can.
let's see if I can do the next. And I have to give credit where credit is due. It was a strong belief in faith and having a strong faith background
Mm-hmm.
too, and was told that, if you have God in your corner,
You can do it.
anything is possible. At the particular time, the relationship that I was in, I had somebody in my corner that really supported the decision.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're trying to raise a family and you're continuing to tell your spouse that you're going to go to school, and they're like, at what point are we
When?
gonna not like go to school? And so, and it's even harder when, after I got the accounting degree, it's even harder to get the accounting degree and go back,
Flip over into another
start
field and
having an income coming in, and then you want to tell your spouse like, the income might drop a little bit because I want to go back to school. And so to have somebody in your corner that supported that, and at the time said that I believe in you enough to
mm-hmm.
to get behind this. That was at the time we had kids, or we still have kids, but we had little kids, and it was just
That's
that
amazing.
was instrumental as well. So it takes a lot. And then on top of that, it was individuals like yourself, the Davy Gills, I can't harp on it enough, the guys from the Brother to Brother program,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of them, same perseverance, I looked at them for strength and they looked at me for strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so that guiding standpoint, always being there and being able to understand that I dropped out of school in the 6th grade. And if I can get a AS degree,
So,
if I can get a bachelor's degree, you know what I mean? If I
mm-hmm.
you got to understand what my reading level was at coming out of school in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
And and I won't sit here and tell the audience that it was all, that there weren't days where it was so heavy that you didn't just feel like you were gonna absolutely lose it. There were days, and there's still days, because of the foundation, because of the shallow academic foundation that I had, that I still question whether or not I'm good enough. I still question whether or not, am I being articulate enough? Am I acting the right way? Am I coming off too strong? Am I, it's always a constant a constant.
You're constantly questioning
Yes.
yourself. And, I know that there are times in our lives that we're wondering, do I have the grit? Do I have what it takes to move forward? This didn't go well. That didn't go well. I can't get it right. Well, you can get it right, and it will eventually go well. But you do have to grind, but you also have to address those moments when you feel like you might be a little inadequate. Even as president, that happens. There are moments where I'm like, girl, can you do this? I mean, you sure you got it? And that's life, keeps lifing. That's just what happens. But you have to find a way to pick yourself up and keep moving. Even when in doubt, even when you're struggling, even when you don't know the answer, even when you don't have it all written down. Because one of the things that Dr. McDonald is saying loud and clear is life continues to move, and you have to move with it. Even when you're feeling like I might not have it all together, but I'm good at this and I got this done and I'm over here. But at some point, you do have to get comfortable in the skin you're in. And you do have to stop gut checking your value and who you are, what you bring to the table, because it is you who makes you who you are. And it is your tribe that has to carry your vibe. And I'm sorry to use so much slang, but it is true. And what Dr. McDonald is saying is the tribe that he has built around him over the years can carry him during those moments where doubt kicks in, where you do feel like, ooh, this is a little too much for me right now. It's a little, I'm struggling. And when you're a leader, it's going to be moments you struggle, but you got to find that tribe, that vibe that's going to help you move through those moments. Because as you can see, even with those doubts that Dr. McDonald just described, he's still standing, he's still strong. And he's right here as a lead, pharmacist, doing the work that needs to be done, showing others that we want to do it. And I do want to go back to something you said. You said, I said, well, what kept you moving and kept you going? What was the it factor for you? And I'm going to take you back 20 years to our conversation, because the it for him was, he said he didn't want to be broke.
Yeah.
That was the it
very
factor.
Important.
You told me that to my face.
Very important.
That Dr. Williams, well, I wasn't even Dr. Williams at that moment, but you told me I had to get this done because I don't want to be broke. You told me that.
Yeah.
That, and I don't know if you still feel it, but that's what you said.
I did. No, I did. I did.
It was, I don't want to be broke. And I think that many of us, we don't want to be broke. I mean, we want to live a good life. We want to live life on our terms, and we want to be happy. And so sometimes that grind is also the stress behind you that's pushing you forward. Like, I don't want to be broke. I mean, I didn't want to be broke. That was one of my reasons. Like, I'm going to do this because I don't want to be broke. So now that you are in a better place and you're self-sufficient, you're living a better life.
Right.
Long gone are the Jordan Park days. Been there, lived, born in that community. Understand the pain behind your purpose and what you're trying to get done. What would you say to the young Ernest, that fifth grader, that fourth? What would you say to that young Ernest now that you've gotten to this point? What would you say?
Don't run from fear. I would literally. I think that's one of the things that, and I'll tell you, as an African American man, growing up in this community and being able to talk to this point, or the perspective that I'm going to give you in answering this question is strictly as an African American male, and it's that we are scared. A lot of us are internally scared. A lot of us are internally scared, but as men within the community that we grew up, growing up in a place where you're designed to be hard, you're designed to be, tough.
To be able to bear the brunt.
Exactly. And so I told you earlier that quote that we live up, that we fall to our level of training. And it's not that we're trying to rise, like we don't rise to the level of our expectations, but in our community, it's really tough
Mhm.
because you have a situation where the expectations for you are really low. And then we have a situation where systemically the training that we receive is inadequate. So when you have a combination of low expectations
And low training.
and low training, when you're put into a situation where you need to stand up and you need to be present, you feel inadequate. You feel very inadequate. And so the one thing that I would tell that young man, that young Ernest, is one, fear is natural. Fear is something we all feel, and something I didn't learn until being here. And one of my good friends, two of my good friends, Derek Moody and Michael Williams. Derek Moody and Michael Williams did something instrumental for me when I was here. And it was a passive thing, but what they did for me is that they showed me that it was okay to ask for help. I'd never seen that as an adult African-American man. And I don't mean like, hey, will you help me find this building? Or I witnessed them go into, at the time, you had Linda Hogan's, you had Shirley Crumbly.
Yep.
And I've seen them go and say, hey, listen, I need help. Like this is the predicament that I'm in. And I grew up in a community, I grew up in a family, and I grew up as a man in this community where you didn't do that. You had these things that were in the background, but you didn't ask. You didn't ask for help. And so I would definitely tell him, fear is natural. Lean into it, overcome it. If you're scared of it, do it. They asked me to do the commencement speech at for USF when I graduated with my bachelor's, to give the student address. Every instinct inside of me said, no, don't do it. But I realized after being here, after understanding what fear was, that you lean into it. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And I'll go back to it. How did I get through that? I trained. I spent literally 2 weeks going over every word, looking in the mirror and understanding the facial expressions and things. And so that's the one thing I'll tell you, I would tell him too, and I'll tell the audience, and I'll tell anybody that with preparation and training,
you can do it.
There's almost nothing that you can't do.
I mean, you can't beat what you just said without preparation and training. And I think that sometimes when we're scared, we feel not just that I'm scared, I can't do it, but I'm just inadequate. I'm not equipped. I'm not the right one. We can find all the excuses in the world. And earlier when you and I were talking, we talked about for our kids, it's hard for them to see, be what they can't see.
Right.
And so we need to make sure that we're showing them, that we're doing what we're doing here today, talking about it, to say, look, young man, yes, maybe in the 5th grade you were horrible. Yes, maybe you got in trouble. Yeah, but there's still an opportunity for you to have a better life. There's still an opportunity for you to get it right. And then don't be afraid to say, I don't know how. Even as college president, I'll say to the audience, I would tell my team regularly, I don't know how to do that. Okay, how would you like to do it? Okay, fine. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I need help. I think about a lot of my greatest strides in my life of growth is when I had to get help. To get someone to show me, to lead me, to give me the resource, whatever that is to get there. If you want to get there, you have to be okay in the skin you're in, and you have to be okay asking for help. And when you're taught not to ask, not to speak, not to say, then it makes it harder for you to do it.
Yes,
when
ma'am.
You're like, I'm a man and men don't ask for help. That we don't, but if you want to get there and you don't know how, regardless of who you are, a lot of those who have arrived, if that's what you want to call it, I feel like you never arrive because you're always learning and you're always growing. But if you want to change, you have to be okay with getting help, because you just can't do it by yourself. I don't know of any superstar or anyone who's made it who don't give other people credit, who stood in the gap for them, who helped them get there. I don't know of anyone, whether you're Michael Jordan or anyone, you say, this is the person who helped me. And so I'm proud of you for accepting the help and asking for it and being comfortable in the skin you're in to say, okay, I need to follow Mike Williams, and I need to go and say, I don't get it, or I'm going to need help with this. And that's why at SPC, we offer so many out-of-class support services, from free bus rides to food pantries to free tutoring, mental health awareness, all the things that students will need to move forward. And I'd like to say that in your time with Brother to Brother, because you were very vocal, and once you got comfortable in the skin you were in, you didn't stop. You were able to come and share with Davy Gill, Miss Crumley, and anyone else, ideas.
Right.
You were able to give us suggestions. So how do you feel now about that part of your leadership in being the lead, pharmacist? To me, the problems come to you first, or initiatives and issues come that you have to make decisions, right?
Right.
How do you feel about making decisions now? And what would you tell the audience about leadership and decision making?
Well, I'll answer that question by also piggybacking off of what you just said.
Okay.
And that is, I need to say something to any individual out there, and that is that your fear and your lack of knowing, of feeling inadequate,
Mm-hmm.
don't let it feed into that, because it's a endless pit.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of us, that's what we think. We think that asking for help, and we think that or feeling fear is confirmation of how inadequate we are in our current position, our current life. I did that for a long time. I didn't think I deserved a family. I didn't think I deserved, I didn't think I knew how to I didn't have a father growing up. I was a single mom. So I didn't know how that was, that was a thing. And I spent a lot of time not thinking that I was even good enough for that.
Wow.
And so that feeling of being inadequate, a lot of us feel, especially, and like I said, I know there are other individuals out there, but I can speak to you from my perspective, and I hopefully this connects with the audience and different individuals within the audience, but just that feeling of being inadequate and thinking that, you're not good enough. And then you feed that with fear. You feed that by not asking for help. And when it's actually the complete opposite, asking for help gets you out of that. And so when you ask me about that leadership style and making decisions, I had to get to the point where I realized that as a leader, if I don't know something, it's not it's
not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a reflection of who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And coming to the realization that you don't know everything. Coming to the realization that you what you guys don't see here is behind these cameras are very competent staff. And I've talked to I've talked to some of these individuals today, and you understand that you have to lean on those individuals. You have to understand that this may not be your area of expertise. You may not know this. And to be honest, as a leader, one of the best things that I do is looking at the individual that I'm talking to and going, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, but you know what? We can find out. We can let's figure out how we're going to How can we find a solution to this?
And that makes you an authentic leader, somebody that people can relate to, because they know, hey, Ernest is going to tell me the truth.
Right.
You know, if he knows it, he's going to do it. If he doesn't, he's going to find a way to do it, right? He's going to find someone who knows that and how to do that. And I think that that's a big, strong leadership quality, because people think leaders are point people and tell people what to do. But actually, leaders are there to support other people in doing what needs to be done, and to make sure that they're not the last leader in that position, that they're building others and that they're supporting others. Because once a leader can let go and allow people to learn and grow, then the leader will have to do less, because that person will take over leadership and do some work. But also being able to be authentic helps people believe in you. I can't remember the quote, but it's something like, people buy into the leader before they see their vision. People need to know who the leader is and trust them and believe in them before they can hear what's coming out of their mouth, before they can understand what their vision or passion is for the department or the organization. And I think what you've done over time is built that credibility with your team to say, hey, we like Ernest in this role because he's going to tell us the truth, whether we want to hear it or not. And if he doesn't know the answer, he's going to go get it. And he's still going to feel good about Ernest, even if he has to go get it from somewhere else.
Right.
Am I quoting you? Am I
you're 100%
paraphrasing
right.
that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know, so with that, and when we're talking about next steps, what's next for Ernest? What's on your plate? What are you thinking?
Continue to grow, to continue the growth that I have taken on in my career. There's still a lot of growth in regard that I can take, but also what I really want to do in the message, I really hope that this podcast gets to are individuals that were like me. Mm-hmm. I would love to, one of the programs we started here at Brother to Brother when we were here was taking some of the guys that were senior members and going into the high school and really talking to the individuals that, really talking to the individuals and the kids that that thought they didn't have any hope. Those were my peers. Those were the kids that might not have had the best behavior, might not have had the best records. Yep. And going to those individuals or getting a message to those individuals that there is hope, and not just, and one of the things me and the guys do when we talk to the youth and just individuals like us, and sometimes they're not youth, sometimes they're literally our adults and our peers, is letting them understand and giving them real life solutions. And what I mean by that, I'll give you guys some real life solution, right? Like a real life solution right now is, if you're feeling like you want more, you're feeling like you need more, get on the bus, get in the car, show up to this campus, not even knowing where to go. Show up to this campus and say, hey, I want more. Mm-hmm. I want more. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a high school diploma, there are services to help you get your GED, to help you walk through that. If you have your high school degree and you just feel like you didn't think you were ever good enough for college, you didn't think, high school, you struggled through high school, it really wasn't your thing, get here, and there are programs, there are individuals here that can help you, that will show you how to do that, how to navigate that. I'm a big believer in leaning on technology. One of the things that I think people overlook these days is, we've gotten so used to these short snippets of videos to learn about life. A lot of us are getting our news and learning things from Instagram and things like that, which isn't always bad when you're trying to cook a cake, bake a cake. That's great. Or you're trying to find the next hip hot restaurant to go to. But lean into technology for for more than that. And I want to get that message out to individuals and understanding that, listen, you can right now go on ChatGPT and as a 6th grade dropout, learn quantum physics from the ground up. If you don't know how to read, you can literally go on ChatGPT and it will just simply say, hey, I left school. Last class I attended was 5th grade. Last class I attended was the 8th grade. Help me learn how to read. That's amazing. It will walk you through that. And so it's getting that kind of information out to our community, getting that kind of information, letting our community know that, we live in a time right now where possibilities are absolutely endless.
They are.
You used to have to walk into a bank and, it was about the color of your skin. It was about your background. You had to, we now live in a time where you can do business across the world. You can do business across the world. You can do business. You can do business and never show your face. It's not about who you are. It's about what you know. What are you bringing to the table? What are you offering? And that we have the technology to do that. And that's what I would love to. That's what I would love to be my next step, is to, getting that message of endless possibilities to our community.
And using technology for positive growth and opportunities to move forward in life. I mean, we could certainly use technology for entertainment. We all do that.
We do.
But how many of us actually use it to learn something that's going to benefit us personally, as we move forward and do this thing called life, right? And as I stated earlier, Dr. McDonald has done a lot, and he's got a lot of opportunities to keep moving forward. I love the notion of imparting in the lives of young folks and others how to use technology in a positive way to learn, and how to improve yourself and not give up. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate having you on the podcast today. I was going to ask you some really, crazy questions and go but we got real positive, so I'm gonna stick with that. But it has been, for me, it's been an honor to have worked with you, to watch you grow, to watch you go, and do things that you've done that, 20 years ago we didn't even think of.
Yeah.
We were just trying to get you out of Comp 1,
I agree.
We were trying to get you out of class, and not only have you arrived, but you're able to teach the class and able to come back and do things. So you've exceeded our wildest dreams. We had dreams, big dreams, and you've exceeded those dreams. And we could never be more proud of you. St. Pete College is proud of you, our faculty and staff. And I know your girls are extremely proud. I'm proud of them and what they're doing in the graduations they've had and moving forward. But you've changed the trajectory of your family. You've changed the track. You've broken the chain. You've broke the ceiling. You've moved forward. And I'm extremely proud and very happy for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.